Hello, everybody. If you are
Hello.
If you are watching us, you're seeing just my beautiful face and not Kristin's. I'm so lonely. Kristin, are you there?
I'm here. How's it going? How's Ohio?
Oh, it is
a little
interesting.
icy.
It's a little icy today. Yes. Do you want to tell everyone where you are? Because you're in a way more fun place.
Yeah, so I'm out in Utah. Check that one off the list. I am in Salt Lake City, Utah at the American Farm Bureau Convention. So I'm currently actually, if we can be candid here, I'm actually sitting in my hotel bed, looking out the window at mountains with like a cookbook, a computer. I've got like all this work stuff spread out, but I'm like cozied in here. I could get used to this.
Uh-huh. Okay. Are you done?
I'm done. Okay. How was your day, Danna?
That was so mean. My day was fine. So the kids are now on day 3 of a calamity day of the week. So from last Tuesday to this Tuesday, they've had 3 calamity days, and all for 3 different things. One was for cold, one was for snow, and now today was for ice. So, and all 3 times I have not been home. I've been at work, and Tom has had to handle it on his own. So the mood in my house is great, as you can imagine.
I'm actually glad they got a snow day, ice day today, though, because
I mean,
my mom is there, and so it's fun that she got to stay with them all
for
day.
sure, that was super cool. And honestly, like the cold day, I was like, oh, whatever. The snow day, they probably would have been okay. But today, the roads were no joke. Like, I don't know what the buses would have done if they went out there. Like, another local district that's not far from here actually started their busing and then stopped and took kids home because it was so bad. So it was
What district was that?
by Concord. What is that? Riverside, out by Concord. So not far from here. And my friend posted on Facebook about it. Like, it's crazy. There was a fire truck. There were a bunch of accidents right by the market, and the fire truck was trying to get to the accident, and they slid, and then they were stuck sideways blocking the road, and the firefighters had to like run to the accident. It was crazy. Like, it was literally the weirdest day ever today. And then
So I've always said that we get ice. So I grew up south of 70 in Ohio. So south of 70, we get more ice than we get snow. And like you guys in Northeast Ohio, we obviously get snow. But I've always told Bill it makes me nervous to drive up there because under our snow, we usually have ice.
Mm-hmm.
And up there, you never get ice.
I can honestly say I've never driven in anything like this. Like, it was pretty intense. It was insane. Like, I tried actually once I got to work to actually go home, and then that wasn't happening. So we were debating if I was going to walk home because that's how bad it was. But I was afraid to cross the street. So.
Yeah, your daughter was at my house making brownies and fresh lemonade.
Well, once we hit about 11 a.m., it was fine. It was just a rainy day, but up until then, it was not to be messed with. But we have survived. We have survived. So he made it through through another snow day with the kids home and running them and all that stuff. So all is good.
Well, I haven't really talked to you since we've been gone. But breaking news. I mean, do you know this that Dave Matthews is coming to Blossom?
I did not even see this. No, because I haven't been on my phone. But
in June, he's coming to Blossom.
That's usually his time. He comes every other year, usually in June. Not that I know his schedule, but like.
Yeah, I actually broke the news to you on this.
This is very exciting. This is so for those of you that don't know, I am a very, very big Dave Matthews fan. So this is quite exciting. Hopefully, my husband will want to go with me. Did you hear? I was like, did you hear that? And then I realized you're not here. Normally, he hears us podcasting, but he cannot hear you right now. So I was like, oh, did you hear that? And he obviously cannot hear anything. Dave Matthews
he's probably lifting weights.
He's going outside right now to lift weights. Yeah, I would like to go. He's like, are we going? So Kristin and I spent last week on a little adventure. We went to Atlanta to what is it called? We went
to the Atlanta Gift Mart.
Gift Mart. Very cool experience. Everyone keeps asking me if I had fun. And I said, well, I don't know that fun would be like the word to describe it. Like, I didn't have a bad time or anything. It's genuinely probably one of the most exhausting things ever. Like, it was work for sure. But we went and we got to.
I warned you.
You did. And I mean, I did not mind it in the least. Like, it was good work, and I guess you would say fun work, but it was work. It was very productive.
Right.
Well,
part of it was the planner's fault because I am hardcore and I booked this from like 7:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m.
I feel like you kind of have to do it that way. I feel like you definitely, I think it's definitely the best option to do it that way. You need to have a plan because on the time where we were down and we were wandering, I feel like we found a few good things, but there's time. It's easy to make time wasted, just wandering. So, and not knowing where you're going. So a plan is the way to go. But we stayed in an Airbnb the first night. And Kristin, would you like to tell everyone about our Airbnb that you booked?
Yeah, I knew you were never going to let me live this one down.
Never letting you live it down.
Here's my warning, that pictures, people can be really good photographers.
It's amazing.
So basically, we'd waited too long to afford a reasonable hotel of any distance close to the Mart. So I'm like, oh, Buckhead, really nice area, outside of Atlanta. We'll just stay there. I found this super cute bird lovers paradise Airbnb. Pictures were great. We knew it was small. Doesn't matter.
The size was not the issue at all. Like the size,
it was very
totally
clean.
Fine. Very clean. Very clean.
I have not rated these people because I learned that I should not rate them because if I rate them, they're going to rate me and they're going to ruin my love.
Right. And then you may not be able to book again on Airbnb. So you don't want to do that.
Yeah. Fantastic. So we had a long day in Danna, as we all know. January came to an end. Her birthday was finished, but we went to a really nice steakhouse for dinner, recommended by Danna's family friend. And we went there and had delicious. I mean, probably was one of the best cooked steaks.
I would agree. It was probably one of the best cuts of steak I've ever had.
It was, but we laughed because we came from the market and it didn't look bad. I thought we looked pretty good, but they sat us upstairs, which would be the equivalent of putting you in the back of the restaurant in the basement.
We didn't look our best, I would say. I mean, I think that we didn't look as bad as we should have looked considering the day we had, waking up at 3:30 in the morning, a 4 a.m. airport run, all that stuff. So it could have been a worse look, but we made it and they did seat us upstairs.
In a corner. Right by another table.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
It was not the best seating arrangement.
So anyways, dinner was great. So then we got an Uber back to our lovely Airbnb, which we had just basically dropped our stuff and left. And our driver is like, where are you ladies? Are you staying here? And we're like, yeah, this is where we're staying. He's like, oh, okay.
I think he said
so anyways, long story short, I think what he said was, well, it's not the hood.
Right.
And then he's like, well, yeah, pretty much you're in the hood. And let's just be clear, he was like a younger guy.
I would say he
hip.
Knew the area quite well.
Right. He knew the area was hip, but he wasn't snobby. He wasn't, he's an Uber driver who knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And so he's like, you girls are basically in the hood. And he's like, the people might have money, but they're drug dealers.
Mm-hmm. That's where their money comes from.
And so we're like, oh, this is great. Perfect. Meanwhile, I did leave out a key factor that when we got into the house with horrible lighting, that we realized that there's just this lovely sewn bird curtain between their home and our Airbnb, which is probably the biggest problem.
So I was going to say, I think that we thought that this was like a little freestanding something in their backyard.
That's how they sold it.
Right.
That's how they described it.
Which would have been completely fine, but it was basically attached to their home. With the world's thinnest walls, right?
We could hear them, and more importantly, we could smell their disgusting food that they were cooking up.
And like Kristin and I both like to cook. Like this was not like, oh, they sauteed some garlic and onions. This was I don't know what
they cooked up the previous
curry dish they were making, right?
I like curry. It was not cooked curry. I think they cooked up their last guest.
They may have.
Or
whoever
bird.
Gave them a bad review. It was horrendous. Like it got to the point where we now felt maybe a little unsafe because of what the Uber driver said. We had to whisper to each other because we're like, well, if they can hear us or if we can hear them, they can hear us.
They can hear us.
Like we couldn't relax at all. The upstairs was a loft with a bed and, which would have been fine.
That part didn't bother me so much.
Well, I just thought it was funny. Now, the reason that it didn't bother us was we were so exhausted that we slept beautifully. However, I thought it was funny that
Danna had to sleep with me.
I did, and I don't like touching people. Although I don't think either of us moved all night long, so I think it was fine. We were so tired.
We were spent.
But what was funny to me is it was truly just a mattress on the floor, because if they had put it on any kind of like bed frame, it would have hit the ceiling. Like you would have hit the ceiling because it was like like the slanted loft ceilings.
You could not sit up and not hit your head.
Correct. So it was quite cozy. But
yeah, it was great. We snuggled. It was fun. Danna loved it. The part that put me over the edge was when I was taking my shower. All of a sudden the shower head. Yeah, the shower head fell out of the wall, and water was going everywhere.
I hear screaming.
So I'm like, well, and it fell and it hit the ground. So we know that the people in the house could hear us.
For sure.
And so that was fantastic. So I'm like turning the water off, can't get it back on. So I'm like trying to rinse my body off. And anyways, you can get the visualization. I'm yelling for Danna.
It was a comedy routine. It really became quite the comedy routine, to be honest. But it all.
So then you can take it from there, Danna.
Well, so
how we remedied.
My mom's best friend growing up lives in the Atlanta area, and she has a beautiful home. They have worked very hard for what they have, and their home is truly just to die for. I mean, it is something out of, like, I've never seen. I don't know. So anyways, when I was telling her.
It's a show place.
It's a show place, for sure. And so when I was telling her this, she was going to take us to dinner the following night. And when I told her the situation about the Airbnb and where we were, she was more concerned about where we were than the actual Airbnb itself. And basically was like, get in an Uber right now and come to me. You're staying at my house. And we were like, no, we're tired. Like, we're going to go to sleep. We're already in. Now, that being said, if Kristin and I think we both agreed that if we were on our own, we probably would have taken her up that night. I don't think we would have felt as comfortable if we were not together.
Have you ever thought about the people who stay in the Airbnb? They give you the code. Right. They know how to get in.
Right.
Like,
they have.
And
I said, when I was telling someone the story,
they could have just broken through the curtain.
Well, and when I was telling someone the story, I said, I mean, they could have just come right in, and they were like, well, yeah, but that's any Airbnb. And I'm like, oh, I guess you're right. Like, you don't think about that.
It is. It was easy access.
I mean, we were on the other side of
the
this.
nicely hemmed curtain.
So, that was another thing, is we were whispering to each other because we didn't want them to hear our conversation, except for when Kristin would loudly shout about the nicely hemmed curtain because she wanted them to hear that part. So anyways, my mom's friend was like, you're coming to us and blah, blah, blah. And I said, no. I said, but tomorrow maybe we'll take you up on it, depending on, everything. So this was like the shower had taken place and all these other, comedy of errors, I should say, took place. So we went to market again the next day. We decided that it would probably be best to bring our suitcases with us. So we went ahead and checked out of we just left the Airbnb.
Well, I feel like we snuck out. So they had quiet hours before 7, and we're like literally like carrying our suitcases
like 6:30 in the morning.
The house.
Yeah. And so
evacuating.
It ended up being the best thing that could happen because we got to go stay with my mom's friend. And, these are the types of conversations. Okay, I'll open the gate when your Uber comes. Okay, do you each want to share a room, or do you want your own room? When we got there, it was, come on, you'll take your bags up with the elevator. Like, these were the types of things that you don't get that service when you sleep at my house, just so you know. Like, I'm just letting you all know, if you ever thought that you would, you won't. Like, you can get the couch, but I can blow up an air mattress for you. These are the types of things I can offer you in my home. But it is not any of those types of things. And it was like staying in a resort. It was wonderful. So we really got to go from one extreme to the other, but we got to go to a really cool restaurant. It was a Greek seafood restaurant. So that was really, really neat. Dogs, stop. And we had a great experience.
It was
the rest of the time, great experience.
So we got to have this fish that was so good. It was from Holland. And do you remember what it was called, Danna?
Yes.
Something sole.
Dover sole.
Dover
sole. And they said that they fly it in every 48 hours from different countries, all the fishes that they have there. So, like, it's fresh.
It was delicious. And the presentation of how they filleted it and cooked it, and it was just magnificent. She was so generous and bought our dinner, which was such a treat.
It was amazing.
But now I want Dover sole, and I just don't know if I can afford it.
I don't think we can because so it was listed as market price on the menu, and so we have no idea.
Whenever
what it
it says that,
well, I just usually don't order it when it says that.
Right.
And so I don't know what it costs, but I did look up Dover sole like the following day or something. I was just curious, like if you were to buy it at like a fish market, and it is like $50 a pound. It's quite pricey. And that's like if you were to buy it yourself. It was probably, I mean, it was like melted butter in your mouth. Like it was probably
it was one of the best things that I've ever eaten.
Yeah, for sure. It was a great restaurant. Very cool atmosphere, very cool experience. And then we realized that we were actually like in a good spot. So we kind of we went to breakfast, had a great breakfast there, and then we came home the next morning. So it was
delightful.
It was a very quick few days, but it was really nice. And then Kristin, we got in on Thursday afternoon, and then Kristin got to leave again the next morning.
Wake up at 3 a.m. to the airport by 5:30, and off to Salt Lake we went. Missing our connection flight, we went. Had the one bad thing after the next in the airports because of weather. Our luggage got here. We eventually got here. We hit the ground running. Just always really fantastic just to have people from all 50 states and Puerto Rico here celebrating agriculture. Right now, Bill is they're on the policy floor, and they are debating different issues to put into the policy book. So this is really what Farm Bureau is all about. It's about representing, defending the rights of the American farmer. And so today's a pretty cool day. For them, I got to go out and play. So I went out with all the wives and spouses.
Tell them what you did yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh, guys. So I met this wife from Alabama. Her name's Robin. Hello, Robin. She might be a new listener. And we met on Friday night at the president's dinner, and we're talking, and she's like, I want to do something fun. And I said, well, if you think of anything, let me know, because I usually go off and do stuff on my own. And she's like, really, would you, it's okay. You don't need to come in. We're totally good. Thank you. Room service is just here to clean. And I'm like, oh, I'm podcasting from my bed. They probably wonder what in the world's going on here. Anyway, so she said, well, do you want to go dog sledding? And I'm like, dog sledding? Sure, I'm in. And she's like, well, what about snowmobiling? So yesterday we went dog sledding and snowmobiling.
Oh, you did both. I didn't know you did snowmobiling also.
Both. And I'm not sure which one was better. And I was going 60 miles per hour on my snowmobile. And I was so excited. He put it into sport mode, and we went. And when this lady says that she's adventurous, people say that, but they're not necessarily. She is so cool. We're like, what are we going to plan the next time? Like every time we get together, we have to do something fun now because it'll be hard to top this.
Wow, that is so with do they take you, is it like a tour, like a guided tour they take you?
They do, but we were the only ones on the tour.
Oh, wow.
And it was up the mountains. It was so spectacular. So they had a couple of open areas where you can really rip it and let it loose. But the scenery here is just so amazing. And you're just up so high, and there's snow. And the best part about it, though, I have to tie everything back to agriculture, that somehow we got to talking about sheep. Shocker. And he's like, oh, we raise sheep. I'm like, oh, you do? I'm like, do you have a commercial flock? And he's like, yeah, they raise merinos, which most stocks and,
like merino
base
wool.
layer. And they raise the merino sheep that the wool comes from. And they have about 20,000 of them.
Holy cow.
So we were talking about their grazing, like where they graze in the winter and on the mountains. And then they actually lease the ground to the ski resort, the canyons here, which most people, if you come out here, you ski on. So we were snowmobiling across the canyons. They stopped the skiers because they own the land, and we got to go through. It was so cool. I mean, it was just magnificent to be out in all of this glory. And it's warm here. It was like 36 degrees. Crazy. Wow. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I got a little spoiled yesterday. I think my husband was afraid of what kind of money I spent yesterday. And we had a driver that took us out, and it actually ended up not being bad at all. So it was just learned all about dog sledding and all about snowmobiling.
Well, that is such a cool experience. Like that's the kind
It
of
was
stuff
very
like
fun.
it's like once in a lifetime experiences. Like that's so cool. You got to jump.
It really
at it.
was. Like I feel like this will be hard to beat. She has
Mhm.
been to Alaska and went dog sledding, and she said this was so much better. Like she's like, it was just beautiful, and it was a fun little family that runs the dog sled business, and they have 4 kids, and we saw a moose. I mean, it was it's like we're in the Wild West. Yeah, from a distance, but yes, we saw him twice.
Awesome.
He was a yearling bull calf, I believe, and so that was a real treat too. So it was great.
If you're watching the video, you're watching me make like terrible faces at my husband because the dogs are barking, and I'm literally like,
they are being loud.
They're being very loud,
Millie.
and I'm like yelling at my husband, like giving him the dirtiest. Like get the dogs, like with the ugliest look right now. So, anyways, it looks like we are about to run out of time here. So hopefully,
oh my goodness, this one's so fast.
I know. Hopefully, Kristin will actually sit next to me next week. Although.
For sure.
I don't mind my alone time, so it's fine.
I was going to say you're loving it over there by yourself.
Kristin, before we go, you have to tell me what button to hit to make it go out.
So you hit the same button that you hit when you started.
That's all I have to do? You guys, Kristin runs this show. I just do the computer part of it. All right. I hope that you guys all have a fantastic week. And Kristin, safe travels home. And everybody have a great night. Day. I can't talk.
Have a great week, guys. Until next time.
Bye, guys.